Hey guys, my name is Shai and this is Evermind Astro. This video is about emotional processing for natal moons in Cancer. Might also resonate if you've got your moon in the fourth house. So I wanted to focus these moon videos on the emotional processing aspect, right? But for moon in Cancer, that might not really be the best phrase, emotional processing, right? That that's not really, I would say, what moons in Cancer are about, because with all of the water moons, there can be this feeling of the emotions never really go away. And that is especially true for moon in Cancer and moon in Pisces, moon in Scorpio, which I'll talk about in their video, but they'd go through more like purges, right? It's this big tumultuous transformation thing. But moon in Cancer, especially because the moon is ruled by Cancer, right? Or the moon rules Cancer, you know what I mean? It's very, very empowered to have your moon in Cancer. It's a doubling down of this kind of watery, emotional Cancerian energy. So it's not exactly that you're processing your emotions per se, right? It is more that you are constantly experiencing your emotions, constantly experiencing your emotions. They are constantly, constantly, constantly flowing through you. Now, I have an air moon but I have a family member with their moon in Cancer, and to me, it seems like an almost unbelievable and almost unmanageable amount of emotions that you guys experience on a minute basis. And the interesting thing about Cancer energy is the types of emotions. Cancer is really about the details of emotions, the minutia of the emotions, right? I mean, you have big, huge cosmic emotions too, like big picture emotions as well, right? But moon in Cancer is the most sensitive to the tiny little things, right? To the microcosm. And there can be a little bit of a struggle with this because people can accuse you of being overly sensitive. You know, you're way too sensitive. Why are you crying all the time? Why do you have an emotional reaction to everything, right? Yeah, so life can be a little bit challenging sometimes when you have this type of a emotional load flowing through you, right? But there is a deep wisdom to this, right? One of the actual functions of a moon in Cancer is to like understand and experience and to learn to value how every single human emotion, every single one, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the euphoric, right? All of them have their place, all of them have their purpose, and everything deserves to be emotionally responded to, right? And that means maybe sometimes crying over spilt milk. That means sometimes not being able to swat the mosquito who's biting you, right? It means sometimes being really sensitive to if someone looks at you the wrong way or says something snarky or does something kind of passive aggressive, you might be very sensitive to that, right? Because you're not going to like conflict, especially like interpersonal conflict that's going to make you quite uncomfortable because you are so sensitive. So that's why I like it's even though I made the title of this video emotional processing, I kind of want to move away from that for you guys because it's more about allowing your emotions to be very fluid, allowing your emotions to keep moving, right? If you try to repress or restrict your emotions in any way, that's not going to work for you very well because your moon is in Cancer, right? It's just that's not what you're about. That's not how you're designed. That's not how you're set up. That's not how you function. So repressing, restricting, or trying to control your emotions in any way, not particularly useful. Although, of course, we all need to become more well-rounded individuals, right? And there will be certain experiences that you have in life that will teach you to handle your emotions in a more mature way, right? I will say that especially when you're younger, moon in Cancer can be kind of emotionally mature, emotionally volatile, but there is a wisdom that you develop here. And but if by the time, I don't want to put an age on it, right? Because everyone's journey is different, but as you grow and as you evolve and as you mature, you're going to be coming into a really profound type of emotional wisdom, and you guys can have some of the most profound, most like, I guess, some of the highest emotional intelligence, right? If you want to talk about EQ, your emotional intelligence or your emotional intelligence quotients, you guys After you've lived a little bit of life and after you've gone through your ups and downs, you guys develop that emotional wisdom. And that is really the highest gift of the moon in Cancer, to have this profound emotional wisdom about how, like, why emotions are important, how to coexist with them, how to utilize them, everything. And you can understand others on a very, very, very deep level with this and understand the emotional minutia of life. So, trying to return to my point here about allowing your emotions to keep on flowing, okay? With moon in Cancer, you do not want to allow your emotions to stagnate. That is where you can really run into trouble, right? If you are stuck in some kind of emotional like dilemma, you can end up like, it can become a quagmire, it can become a swamp. So I want to use the the water analogy here, the water metaphor. Cancer, I always see Cancer as the rushing river, right? If Pisces is the ocean and Scorpio might be an aquifer, I would say that Cancer is the rushing river, right? Like a mountain river. And I guess also maybe a big river like the Mississippi too, right? But it's moving water, right? Moving water. And water that is the cleanest, freshest, most pure would be water that like comes out of a spring, out of the top of a mountain, and is like rushing down the mountain. You want to keep it moving. That's how you keep your emotions clean and clear, right? You don't want to let your emotions stagnate, because that's how you become a swamp. That's how your emotions become thick and filled with green things and and nastiness, right? And you create like a quagmire for yourself. So whenever you find yourself stewing in the same emotional context for too long, right? Like breakups, right? A breakup could be a good example here. And you guys would feel a breakup quite keenly, right? I mean, everybody does, of course, but you're going to be really, really, really in your emotions about the breakup, right? Other people can kind of cut themselves off, believe it or not, right? When they're going through a breakup, they can just kind of say, not dealing with that emotionally, not right now, and just kind of carry on, right? But moon in Cancer is really going to have to feel that one out. And you could end up, if you're in that place of feeling your way through the emotions of a breakup for, I don't want to put a time on it. Maybe it's a few weeks, maybe it's a few months. Definitely if it's in the space of years, right? If anything, any type of, more difficult emotion, if you're stewing in that for too long, you're going to get yourself trapped in a swamp, right? You got to keep the emotions moving. And because that's what it feels like with moon in Cancer, is that you're actually experiencing like very, very pure emotions. And like, what do I mean by that? It's almost like you guys, like emotional benchmarks. I don't know if that makes any sense. There's something here about it. It feels like your emotions are more crystal clear, more pure, more like less filtered or something. They're more just how the emotions really are, right? That they're less, they've been changed less, they've been processed less, right? They've gone on less of a journey. It's like the water that comes straight out of the mountain spring and is just beginning its journey to be the river running down the mountain, right? So whenever you're in your emotions, which is going to be most of the time, I would say the most important thing for you guys in terms of your emotional health is to keep those emotions moving, right? You don't want stuck emotions. And if you have stuck emotions, if you have a bit of a quagmire going on because of some kind of emotional challenge you've been going through, you're going to want to do whatever you need to do to like look at that and dislodge those emotions and get them flowing again, right? And then to bring in new emotions, right? Could be very, very, very beneficial for you guys to actually learn healthy ways of distracting yourself. And I don't mean unhealthy ways of distracting yourself, right? Because of course that distracting yourself too much can end you up in the quagmire, right? And back in the swamp. Or if you're like going through a breakup, just as an example, and you end up just watching anime for like weeks or months on end, then perhaps you're wallowing in the swamp, right? And you're not getting those emotions moving. But say you are sitting there and you're feeling, kind of upset because of some little thing that just happened, maybe somebody called you and was kind of mean and then hung up and now you're all like rattled, right? A good thing to do would be to like change the channel, right? To change the channel. You got to change the channel on your emotional landscape by distracting yourself, by going outside, by playing with your dog, by calling some other friend that's going to be a lot happier, right? By watching 1 or 2 episodes of your favorite show, but then, getting up and going, doing something else. You got to keep those emotions moving and flowing and grooving. because yeah, with the water moons, I feel like the emotions just keep coming back around, right? I don't know if they do get processed, but it's in this way, it's the same way that the water cycle on Earth processes the water, right? It's like, how does water get purified and clarified? How does the Earth purify water, right? Well, eventually it's by evaporating it and it gets purified, through the evaporation process, and then, coming back down in the clouds as clear rain, or also it gets processed by, filtering down into the earth, and the earth processes it. But we talked about that with the moon in Cancer. So, there is a bigger picture to how water moons process your emotional energy. And I feel like especially for moon in Cancer, it's going to be more about just emotions come in and then emotions come out and then new emotions come in, and you're part of this great big emotional circle, like the circle of emotions, right? Like the water cycle. You're part of this emotional cycle, and you're going to have your own emotional cycles. And this is also very, very, very important to understand about moon in Cancer, is that you are part of a greater emotional context, right? All of you with moon in Cancer, whether or not you think of yourself as very psychic or very intuitive, you are all very, very, very empathic, more empathic than you know. And I mean feeling other people's feelings, right? Everybody does this to some extent, but moon in Cancer, you guys are picking up on others' feelings on a level that you just do not even understand, right? Even those of you who are really into this kind of stuff and who are really aware of how much you pick on other people's emotions or pick up other people's emotions, it's still more than you think, okay? You are still feeling other people's feelings more than you are aware of, because it is really profound how much you do experience other people's feelings. So you're part of this greater emotional cycle. So I guess the main point here for you guys is just keep those emotions flowing. Don't let your emotions stagnate. Keep it fresh, keep it clear, keep it clean, and that will give you the time and space that you need in order to grow into your emotional wisdom. Because you guys, once you really, and I feel like life needs to kind of show you this, like with the water energy, you can't really take shortcuts, right? The way air and fire energy might. And you can't really build a whole lot with it the way earth energy might. With the water energy, there is really an emphasis on surrendering to the flow, right? And surrendering to the natural cycles, because that's just the nature of the water element, right? So you have to allow yourself to grow, and as you feel yourself grow, you're going to start to understand emotions on a level that other people without, this water energy so keenly in their lives simply don't. And you'll come into your emotional wisdom, right? You'll come into your emotional wisdom. And some of you are already there, right? Very emotionally wise. And for you guys, you're just going to become more profoundly emotionally wise. And I wish I could give you more details on this, but my moon's in Gemini, so this isn't really my area of expertise. This is just what I can get from picking up on your guys' energy and getting some glimpses into your inner landscape with your Cancer moon. So I'm going to leave you guys there. Lots of links down below if you want to check me out. I'll talk to you later. Bye.